Reasoning wins, benchmarks wobble. The new K2 Think 32B from MBZUAI arrived with bold reasoning claims, a slick demo, and blistering throughput. Users reported 1,200 to 2,000 tokens per second, attributing the speed to Cerebras hardware. But the celebration didn't last. Community investigators flagged evidence of benchmark contamination. K2 Think's supervised and RL datasets include DeepScaleR, which contains OmniMath items that also appear in K2 Think's evaluation set. At least 87 of 173 OmniMath problems reportedly overlap, raising benchmarking concerns and undermining headline comparisons to larger models. Openness made the diagnosis possible. In closed settings, contamination is harder to detect. Either way, speed on Cerebras is real. The math wins are less so. If fast, iterative training is the story behind strong reasoners, infrastructure matters. Moonshot AI's checkpoint engine targets the gritty problem of pushing new weights into live inference clusters. The middleware coordinates in-place weight updates for sharded models up to the 1 trillion parameter scale across thousands of GPUs in about 20 seconds via broadcast or P2P strategies. It co-locates services with inference engines, VLLM day one support, pipelines host-to-device copies with GPU broadcasts, and even carries FP8 update patches for specific models. Caveats are explicit. FP8 updates need VLM patches. The perfect three-stage pipeline isn't fully implemented, and the P2P path has known optimization headroom. This is the unglamorous but crucial plumbing that makes RL-tuned systems viable at production scale. Naming confusion also surfaced. Some lamented K2 evokes Moonshot's Kimi K2 branding, while others noted MBZUI's use predates Moonshot. Regardless, the real question is whether published gains generalize when clean benchmarks and standardized evals are applied. For K2 Think's math claims, the community's verdict so far is not proven. DeepSeek released v3.2 exp, an experimental step beyond v3.1 terminus that introduces DeepSeek Sparse Attention, DSA. DSA aims for fine-grained sparse attention to boost long-context training and inference efficiency while maintaining near-identical output quality. The team held training configs constant to enable apples-to-apples comparison. Results are a wash across public benchmarks, with small gains and dips, e.g. AM 2025 89.3, 88.4, HMMT 83.6 versus 86.1. Day zero support lands in VLLM and SG-Lang, plus kernel work across TileLang, DeepGem, and FlashMLA. This is careful incremental systems research, not leaderboard fireworks, but the kind of optimization that pays off at scale. On the vision side, Moondream Preview keeps its hallmark efficiency while upping reasoning. It's a 9B parameter VLM with only 2B active via mixture of experts, 24 layers, 4 dense, the rest MoE-FFNs with 64 experts, 8 active, SIGLIP vision encoder, 32K context, and a super BPE tokenizer. Useful affordances include a default reasoning mode for complex VQA, skills for captioning, point selection, and object detection, and an option to pre-encode images for multi-query reuse. The license is business source, no third-party service without an agreement, underscoring an increasingly common open with strings pattern for frontier-ish VLMs. Together, these releases showcase two trends: smarter attention to lower the cost of long context, and specialized visual tooling that pushes beyond describe this image toward reliable task-shaped outputs. Both serve teams trying to do more with less GPU and fewer surprises. Catching hallucinations, keeping modalities. Hallucination detection is shifting from heavyweight external judges to introspection. Iris, unsupervised hallucination detection by inspecting reasoning processes, elicits a model's step-by-step verification of a statement, then treats the model's own uncertainty as a soft pseudo-label. It uses embeddings from the verification response, not the original statement, as features for a lightweight probe trained with soft bootstrapping and symmetric cross-entropy to tolerate label noise. The authors find verbalized confidence often calibrates better than entropy on token probabilities, and the entire approach requires a single call per statement, unlike multi-sample uncertainty schemes. It's still a probe, but aligned to the model's internal truth-checking states rather than surface entity matching. Meanwhile, practitioners worry about modality drift. A thread on fine-tuning Llama 3.2 11b Instruct on text-only data asks whether vision skills OCR image QA degrade. The consensus, catastrophic forgetting is real and depends on data size, learning rate, and scope. Practical mitigations include freezing vision encoders projectors. Llama 3.2 separates some vision weights. Unsloth provides a collab, mixing in some image text data as regularization, or using LoRa-Dora to localize changes. Evaluating with held-out multimodal tests is the only reliable guide. A complementary research thread asks how models learn to see before seeing. Work on LLM visual priors from language pre-training aims to demystify what visual structure models internalize without images, which may inform better multimodal training schedules and reduce forgetting when updating unimodal skills. It's early, but the question matters wherever a single backbone carries both text and vision. Local LLM plumbing gets friendlier. Local workflows continue to smooth out. A new llama.cpp manager wraps installation, updates, and config into a terminal wizard. It pulls the right pre-built binary, organizes model configs as JSON, and includes a batch benchmarking utility. It's tested on Ubuntu Vulkan and deliberately avoids Docker complexity. Future ideas include integrating with Llama Swap for automatic load-unload. Not fancy, but the kind of works-on-my-machine tooling teams actually adopt. ArchGW bridges Llama-compatible models to Anthropic's V1 Messages API, including streaming. For developers standardizing on Anthropic client libraries, it means swapping in local models without changing client code, a pragmatic step that encourages local-first deployments without replumbing agent frameworks. There's no API fee, it's an open gateway. On the agent front, requests for a web-based open-source orchestration layer, stateful runs, tool calling, traces, retries highlight a gap. Suggestions point to OpenAI's Agents SDK, Langflow, and Diffy. Coding-specific stacks like OpenDev and OpenHands are overkill for non-code workflows. Folks want lightweight, self-hostable orchestration with good UX. Client UX matters too. Codexia's GUI for Codex CLI now supports multiple windows, token usage, and streaming reasoning messages, plus a file tree, forked chats, and a prompt notepad. Little details, streamed chain-of-thought views, quick project switching, reduce friction that often kills internal adoption. Put AI where work happens. Adoption is less about smarter models and more about meeting users in their tools. One editorial argues most employees won't use yet another AI dashboard. The winning pattern is embedding assistants in Slack, Teams, Gmail, or the CRM. Claude for Slack is cited as an example of no new workflow integration. Crucially, Model Context Protocol MCP is called out as a way to wire multiple systems and data sources without building another control panel no one opens. It's a reminder that integration and friction, not just capability, determine ROI. With embedded assistance comes transparency into system behavior. A user surfaced Claude's long conversation reminder message mid-chat, which community moderators identified as a system-level reminder injection, essentially a safety and style guideline surfacing in the session. It's harmless, but instructive. As assistants integrate into daily tools, system prompts are part of the product and occasionally peek through. On the human-computer interface side, app use creates virtual desktops scoped to only the apps an agent should see. Work with Safari and Notes, or just control iPhone mirroring. By compositing views so the model only perceives relevant windows, it reduces hallucinations from UI clutter and improves completion rates. It's macOS only, Quartz for now, but the pattern, limited, purpose-built perceptual context, looks broadly useful for reliable computer use agents. Edge boxes, drivers, kernels, and cards. Edge hardware is compressing serious AI into tiny footprints. MSI's Edge Expert, based on NVIDIA's DGX Spark and Grace Blackwell, claims compact AI supercomputer in 1.19 liters, with Australian listings around USD $4.6, 5.2K for 128 gigabytes RAM and 1.4 TB storage. It targets local inference and prototyping, though community questions persist about real-world availability and how it stacks against common 3090 arrays. A commenter pegs its AI tops around half a 5090, but independent benchmarks remain thin. In the DIY server aisle, a practical data point, for llama.cpp/ggml, AMD MI50s are now universally faster than NVIDIA P40s. A useful tip for bargain hunters cobbling local inference nodes from used enterprise GPUs. It won't settle vendor debates, but it's actionable for one popular stack. On Linux graphics, Red Hat's David Airley says NVIDIA has been supplying NDA docs that helped enable Blackwell support in NVK, the Open Mesa Vulkan driver. It's not open documentation, but it signals a friendlier posture and could accelerate NVK's trajectory alongside the new Nova kernel driver. Important if open drivers are ever to challenge NVIDIA's proprietary stack. At the OS layer, a Hackaday tale shows that small form-factor laptops can still need a custom kernel to boot cleanly, peeling an onion of display rotation, missing sound touchpad, and unreliable LLM advice. Techniques like cloning config from /proc-config.gz and iterative module testing remain the path to a mostly working system. Meanwhile, Kairos offers an immutable Linux tailored for edge Kubernetes. Container-delivered OS images, uniform boot across nodes, QR code setup, and upgrades via Kubernetes for consistency and security. Catnip for teams standardizing fleets. Security, agents, TLS, and scanners. Enterprises are racing to autonomous agents, but DEF CON demos reportedly turned Microsoft Copilot Studio agents into data exfiltration machines with a handful of prompts, dumping CRM records, exposing private tools, and triggering actions without approvals. As one commentator put it, autonomous AI without serious security is malpractice. The lesson isn't don't automate, it's that capability without guardrails and governance hands attackers the keys. On the research and testing front, an LD preload technique to bypass TLS certificate verification on Linux is documented for debugging and embedded OT investigations, useful for security researchers, risky in production. The same source also digs into IPv6 lurking in OT environments and using Nmap cautiously for OT scanning, reminders that the forgotten edges of networks are often the soft underbelly. Lastly, Vulkan is a Go-based network scanner focused on authorized offensive security work. Concurrent port scans, banner grabbing, basic vuln checks, JSON outputs, and a planned web UI under AGPL 3.0. It's a practical tool for controlled environments, paired with strict rules of engagement and a paper trail of permission.